We're still working on some of the deals that are under NDA. Can't say anything yet, but some momentum on it. And meeting a very special person towards the end of the month. So it's February is going to be a good month. But if you're going to meet with like a big guy, like the president or Elon Musk or the vice president or a treasury secretary, whatever it is, it's not okay to meet for 2 minutes, shake a hand, take a picture, move on.
Right.
Gotta have dinner with them, gotta sit down for an hour or 2, gotta have a real conversation.
Oh, what's up, Ita Gang? Welcome into Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. As a part of today's video, we're diving into Cardano-based updates following by far one of the biggest crypto liquidation events that we've seen, with nearly $10 billion wiped out in a super short period. Now, we've also got some interesting content coming in here from Charles Hoskinson, who's teased a pretty big meeting taking place sometime in the month of February with either Donald Trump, Elon Musk, or key members from his administration. Of course, I'll let you be the judge. And then on top of that, we've got some pretty interesting content here coming in from Frederick Agard, the CEO of the Cardano Foundation, following a meeting with an exchange in the UAE. Now, there's also one sore topic that I want to hit on here, which is Cardano DeFi and the fact that we may not necessarily be 100% ready for mass adoption just yet. Now, before we go any further, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to help you find your footing here within the Cardano and Bitcoin ecosystems. If you appreciate content like this, please smash that thumbs up on the way in. It's by far one of the easiest ways to support me here as a content creator. If you want more, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or just disagree with any of the points mentioned here today, feel free to leave a comment down below. Now, if you'd like to extend your support for the channel even further, consider delegating with either of the two Dapp Central stake pools, sharing the ticker DAPP. Without any further ado, let's jump right on in here. We've got Cardano currently sitting at 80 cents. If you've missed it, the Trump tariffs wiping out over $10 billion in a matter of 8 to 12 hours. By far, one of the biggest liquidation events that we've seen here within the entire crypto space. Of course, Bitcoin not necessarily taking too big of a hit there. It dropped somewhere around 13%. But as we can see here, Cardano dropping almost 36% here. And what we've seen was a massive rebound from 50 cents all the way back up here to 81 cents, again, in just a matter of 24 hours, resulting in a 61% increase. So if you're able to buy the dip, congratulations to you. A lot of people obviously very fearful in the market right now, but something that I definitely want to take the opportunity to briefly highlight. Now let's jump into something which is a little bit of a sore topic here, but just taking a look at the Cardano ecosystem and taking a look at TVL, which currently sits at $411 million. Coming in at number one, we've got Liquid, a lending and borrowing protocol or platform. Coming in number two, we've got MintSwap, followed by number three, Indigo, Splash, Jed, and then AlenFi. So out of the top 6 platforms, we've got DeFi coming in at number 6, DeFi again through Indigo, and then DeFi through Liquid. Now, unfortunately, we've actually seen Liquid having some issues here with the recent liquidations that I just mentioned. They're taking place yesterday, and they've released a message here for the community. So I'm going to briefly read this here and then give you guys a little bit of my 2 cents here and what needs to be done moving forward for people to really trust Cardano DeFi if we're expecting to get users and liquidity to come in from Bitcoin. So it states, last night, the V2 version of the Liquid app and their API suffered a degradation in performance caused by an issue that we've detected starting in our chain indexing infrastructure, which unfortunately coincided with a highly volatile period for crypto markets. Now, this is the exact opposite of what you want to hear from a protocol here in Cardano. And I'm by no means picking on Liquid. I've had Florian here on the channel to break down Liquid Pro. I'm a huge supporter of what they're doing. Obviously, the community is too, if they've earned their way up to the number 1 spot here in terms of TVL for DeFi. But we have to fix this issue with oracles and pricing data. And so I know that right now we have platforms like OrcFax. We've got platforms like Charlie 3 or C3, but it doesn't seem to be enough. And it's also, at least in my opinion, not a hard requirement for some of these core protocols to actually use different types of decentralized or at least redundant versions of oracles. But it seems like whenever there's a lot of crypto liquidations and people need to get access to their positions, they aren't able to on Cardano. And so this issue is sort of reared its head again, because we have seen Liquid go down, and they had an issue with an API and some pricing information. You could imagine, right, that ended up causing a lot of issues, and they did end up fixing that, right? But generally speaking, we have to fix this problem now if we're expecting for DeFi to really thrive, and if we're expecting for people to bring their liquidity in from Bitcoin into the ecosystem. As it currently stands, these APIs, they are not enough. And I think that an issue like this sort of shows the community that we have to really fix this issue. And so it seems like the entire platform was essentially unavailable at a time where people needed to jump in there and either add liquidity or add collateral to their positions or just close them out entirely. And so it's going to be interesting to see exactly what the Liquid team does moving forward. Again, not necessarily here to pick on them, but I did want to quickly highlight that this is an issue that we have to fix within the ecosystem. So shout out here to Derek from Crypto Fluency, who's essentially live streamed a lot of his interactions with the platform there when it wasn't available. But again, it's something that we have to fix, and something that I want to briefly highlight here. Very similarly, we did see an issue pop up here with LenFi. Again, not picking on them. I've had Montes here on the channel, and what they had was a separate issue, and it wasn't related to the crypto crash that we've just seen taking place here very recently. But they were very transparent about the fact that they actually had caught a bug in one of their smart contracts. Therefore, they had asked the community to essentially close out their positions and reopen them once it had a hot fix or resolution for their bug. And so my point here is not to pick on LenFi specifically or to pick on Liquid specifically, but it's just to say that we as the community need to demand for better infrastructure and for just more resiliency for issues just like these. Because you could imagine that if people trust Cardano enough to bring the liquidity in, and we have another flash crash, and people aren't able to close out their decentralized positions, they're not able to add collateral or just essentially interact with the protocols, they aren't going to come back. And that's going to leave a bad taste in a lot of other people's mouths, and they will, through the word of mouth, right, tell everybody else not to use Cardano. So I want to just briefly highlight this here. Again, not to pick on anybody, but it is something that I think that we have to really resolve here very soon. Now, on the positive side, we've seen JJ Seiler, Charles's right-hand man, stating that he's been in really deep conversations with the team from Chainlink, if you aren't aware, who's by far one of the biggest and most integrated oracles here in the crypto space. And so that's what we're going to need, right? Tier 1 or top tier oracle providers who provide their solutions in support for Cardano native projects or for Cardano specific protocols. Now, this also highlights another key piece though, and that's the price. If protocols aren't able to sustain the price to pay for some of these feeds coming in through from Charlie 3, coming in from OrcFax, or even coming in through from Chainlink, how are we going to be able to move forward? The reason why I think a lot of these platforms use the current APIs that they do is because they're cheaper and they're simpler to sort of get plugged in, but that may not always be the best solution. So again, I'll close out this topic here by just recapping or at least rehashing my thoughts here. I think that we need more standardization, and we really need to push forward, especially for the bigger protocols, right? To really adopt some of these decentralized or some of these other pricing or Oracle related tools. So that'll do it there for that particular piece. Let's jump into some more positive news here. We've got Frederick Gegard, who is currently in the UAE, and he's mentioned the fact that he's had a discussion here with the M2 crypto exchange, and that was with their deputy CEO, Omar Marcy, in order to explore Cardano native integrations. Now, this includes support for Cardano native assets, governance related topics, and then also the Cardano Academy, which the foundation puts out. And if you just aren't aware of what that is, it's essentially a group of courses that helps to onboard people into the Cardano ecosystem. And so just diving a little bit deeper in here, I took a look here, and it looks like it's a relatively minor or small exchange. It is an exchange nonetheless. They've got 49,000 follows here on Twitter. And then jumping over to their official website, which is available at m2.com, we can see here that they're just like any other exchange, but they are heavily focused on a community or a target audience in the UAE. So good to see that, Frederick is out there really trying to push Cardano forward. And of course, we haven't really heard much about his conversation with Circle, who is also out there in the UAE. Now, as we get ready to dive into the best portion here for today's video, which is of course Charles teasing out and discussing his potential meeting with the Trump administration, Trump himself, or potentially Elon Musk. I just want to ask you guys that if you guys have appreciated the video so far, please smash that thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. If you want more, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, leave those down below. And like I mentioned before, if you want to take your support for the channel even further, consider delegating with the Dapp Central Stake Pool. Now, when it comes to Charles here, if you've missed it, he's got very, very close ties to Senator Scott. And of course, shout out here to Stake with Pride. But there's going to be a meeting, or at least a press conference being done or being held by SAR David Sachs, Chairman Tim Scott, Chairman John Boozman, Chairman French Hill, and Chairman Thompson, taking place on the 4th of February at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And the goal of this is to basically break down how Congress will work together to secure America as a leader in the digital asset ecosystem. Now, of course, there's no clear mention here of Cardano, but we've got that picture there of Charles and Senator Scott taken, I want to say roughly about a month or two ago. And so there could potentially be, some influence through Charles or from Charles, right? When it comes to some of those key regulatory decisions and the path forward to make America the #1 place when it comes to crypto and blockchain and digital assets. Now, jumping into the actual tease here, this is coming in here from the Crypto Crow. Shout out to that man. He just had Charles on for a full interview. It was roughly about an hour or so. I'll leave the link to that down below. But there's this brief 3-minute clip here, which I'm about to roll here for you guys before we close out today's video, where Charles talks about the fact that there's going to be a pretty important meeting taking place sometime in the month of February, and it's going to be a pretty big one. Now, he doesn't confirm exactly who it's with. Sounds like there's still some sort of NDA, but I'm looking forward to it. And it sounds like it's going to be an important meeting, again, given the fact that he's mentioned Trump, he's mentioned Elon, and he's also mentioned the administration by name. So without any further ado, I'm about to play today's video. As always, if you've enjoyed this, please smash that thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.
So I said publicly, I will never take a meeting just for a photo op. If I'm going to meet with somebody, it's because the meeting, the circumstances, the environment, all of these things are appropriately set up where we actually get some work done and we can have a real conversation. It's why I didn't attend the inauguration. All these guys that go to the inauguration, they're wearing their tuxedos, and they got like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul together, giving each other piggyback rides. It's a hell of a lot of fun. And I sent 10 people. JJ went, and other people went, and they got the photos, and they had their fun, and they got to get to meet people, and that's good. But if you're gonna meet with like a big guy, like the president or Elon Musk or the vice president or a treasury secretary, whatever it is, it's not okay to meet for 2 minutes, shake a hand, take a picture, move on.
Right.
Gotta have dinner with them, gotta sit down for an hour or 2, gotta have a real conversation, and there has to be a dialogue there where they actually care about what you think and that. So I've been very strategic about some of these meetings, and I let everybody do their photo ops and move their way through, but now the honeymoon is over and the work is starting to be done. Tomorrow, David's gonna go and have his press conference, and he's got a lot to say, and people are gonna be blown away by it. He's gonna go and get it done. And Bo is not too far behind him. He is a fired up guy. He's an awesome guy. He's got that North Carolina spirit. So they're gonna start moving hard. And the president deeply cares about this issue. He promised us that cryptocurrencies were gonna be a first class citizen and that America is gonna be the best place to found, fund, and run, which means he's personally involved in the decision making in the meetings. To have the president of the United States personally involved in these things, texting people, talking to people, that's a big fucking deal. And that means it gets done quickly. So we're starting to get those gears turned on and we're starting to get these things done. January was the wash because everybody's just so focused on the inauguration and all the fights. I mean, even if you want to take crypto seriously, you got to get your crew. And right now, his crew's being held up in the Senate. It's waiting on Tulsi and RFK and all these other people, just barely got Hegseth in. It's tough. But once that crew's in, then you're ready to go. You got your heist movie. You're like, "You son of a bitch, I'm in. Let's get it done." So he's almost through that. And once he's on the other side of that towards the end of the month and coming months, I think you'll see that the Trump administration is going to really start moving quickly, including getting legislation passed. And the wheels are already starting to turn there because people have been activated to do these types of things. So, you know, we as an ecosystem, because we're in the top 10, we have a role, as does XRP and as does the Bitcoin ecosystem and the Ethereum ecosystem. And the rivalries and the grievances, they've been set aside. And now we're in a different world.